am definitely in my happy place this month during pants drafting month here at J Stern Designs. I'm also teaching pants fitting on Zoom to some private pants fitting students, and I'm also working on some other things. So I want to tie it all in with an adjustment that may help you. And actually, it's two adjustments that may help you if the length of your leg from waist to knee is shorter in the back and longer in the front. I've talked a lot about how to remove ease on the back leg vertically if you've got too much underneath or behind. What happens when front leg may also need a little extra length? So I want you to check out this photo. This is a picture from one of my pants fitting students, and actually I can't even take credit for the lines drawn on the photo. She sent it to me like this, and I thought this was brilliant. Look at how from the center front waist down to the floor on that angled line helps you see that it's longer in the front to her knee versus in the back from her center back down to her knee. So that's just another way that you can think about it as you're looking at your side view to see if maybe your back needs to be shortened and your front needs to be lengthened. A lot of times if you have a prominent tummy, you may feel like you might need a prominent tummy adjustment, but I will tell you that I asked my friend Eric about what they do for maternity wear in pants. Do they extend the center front away from center to make more room at center for maternity? And he basically told me that only for maternity, maybe a quarter of an inch. So let's think about that for a second. If ready to wear is only adding a quarter inch at center for a pregnant belly, I'm guessing most prominent tummies don't need to add past center when making pants and skirts. You can let out. You can also create waist starts in the front to help shape the front if you have a prominent tummy, but I don't think extending the width past center front is super helpful. But what is helpful, if you think about it, if you can let out your side seams for a prominent tummy, wouldn't it also be helpful if you could add some length to go over the curve of your tummy? So that's where I'm going to lengthen the front leg in this tutorial. And then in the back, we're going to remove it from the back leg. And I'm going to show how to do that briefly. I'm also going to put a link in the description below for a more detailed tutorial because I have a few of these different I've done a few tutorials already showing how to remove the excess length on the back leg. And before we get started, I just want to show you one other side view here. If you're having trouble visualizing whether your front leg is longer from your waist down to your knee, look at what's happening from crotch level down to your knee. And a lot of times, if you take side view pictures or look at yourself from the side view with ready to wear on, ready to wear that doesn't fit perfectly might be another really good friend to help you see what your body may need for adjustments. So you can see from this side view, this fit model is wearing jeans, and you can see how short it is from below her behind down to her knee versus from where her front leg is down to her knee. All right, so you can look at it from that vantage point as well. So let's look at these legs here. So I'm going to draw myself a horizontal line that's about 3 or 4 inches from the waistline, and then I'm also going to draw a diagonal from the side seam waistline intersection. Now we're going to draw an angled line down to this horizontal line, and what I want to show you here with my ruler is I can get to the halfway point, I could get closer than halfway, and I can get really close to the side seam. The angle of this diagonal line for you is going to determined by how full your tummy is. If you've got a full tummy and it's mostly in the center front, your angle will be closer to center front. Okay, so you kind of want to angle this diagonal line so it's pointing towards where the fullest part is. If you have a tummy that is full and it wraps around through the side seams, then I would bring your line closer like this. So this would be a good example for someone who has a tummy that just extends across their front. And then I'm just going to draw a dash line if you've got a tummy that's more centered, meaning, I want to say pot belly. Picture a pot in the front of your belly. You know, it's more of a round curve in the center of your body, and then it smooths out. So pick the diagonal that works for you. You can probably get all the way to the center of the leg if it's really concentrated in the center of your body. Because remember, this is half of you, right? So the center of you would probably be like this, you know, from here, that's the middle, and then it would come back out, oops, and then it would come back out, and you'd have the other half over here. I'm trying to draw a bracket. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. All right, so I am going to slash through the center front to my diagonal, and then I'm just going to show you here how this works. So if I pick the diagonal closer to the side seam, you can see I can get to the full width that I want to add closer to the side seam. If I had slashed here, then this is where it would start. So that's why if you don't need the fullness and to get closer to the center, just diagonal out a little bit farther here. Okay, so the next step is I'm just going to take some paper and I'm just going to stick it under here like this. And whenever I'm working with adjustments like this, I always anchor the bottom of the adjustment down, so that's good. Now the other thing we're going to need to do is create what I call a control point, because as you can see here, this is opening like a box top. We don't want to have this angle. We don't want it to keep going and get wider and wider towards center. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a control point that's, you know, a little bit away from my diagonal, maybe an inch to an inch and a half or 2 inches from my diagonal. And I'm going to do an inch in this case because this is a half scale pattern, but basically there's my control point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut through that, but to the waistline and create a pivot. Now what that's going to allow me to do is, I'm not going to worry about this section right now, and actually I broke the pivot, so I'm just going to move that over there. I'm going to spread this section right here until the outer corner is giving me the extra length I want. So let's say in this example I wanted a 1/2 inch of extra length. I'm going to go ahead and draw a guideline here. There's my 1/2 inch. So basically I'm just going to tip this up until the outer point right here, and I'll color it in blue so you can see, is hitting that 1/2 inch. Then I could use the second pivot to pivot it back down like this. And you see what happens is it overlaps here. And actually what that's doing is it's putting some of this back. Okay, this is putting some of that back, so I can then keep this straight with where it was. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down. Okay, and you can see I've added extra length. Now what I might do is just smooth this off a little bit so I don't have a pointy, if it's looking a little pointy there right above where the pivot is. But you can see now I've added all of this extra length on my front leg. And then of course you could also just true this back up. Okay, so that's how you would adjust the front leg. Now in the back, I've shown this to you, you know, in other videos, but generally in the back, below crotch level, Let me just draw a crotch level. And, you know, if you put your seam allowance down over here, here's my 1/2 inch seam allowance, that drops the crotch level a 1/2 inch. So that's why I account for, you know, if you want to account for the seam allowance, that's where your crotch level is. Generally, you start to need to lose, you know, vertical length underneath that area. So I'm going to mark a line that's about a 1/2 inch below crotch level. Okay, it could be an inch, but you want to be in the inseam and side seam area. So this is my crotch level, and this is my slash line. I'm going to slash there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create pivots at my side and inseam. And I'm just going to cut this down to my slash line, like this. And then I'm going to cut to but not through my side and inseam. So I've got it there, and I've got it here. Now what this allows me to do, and let me just draw myself another guide from my slash line down to the amount I want to remove. So anywhere from a 1/2 inch to an inch here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot these down until they touch that guideline. So again, both of them are touching the guideline like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is tape that into position. All right, so you can see now what's happened here is we have gotten rid of, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Let me draw this line back. Okay, so we've gotten rid of all of this, right? But where does it show? It shows up here. And notice we've collapsed the top of the leg, so that fits no one. Before you make this adjustment, you're going to trace a copy of the top of the pattern. You want it to be about, you know, 2 or 3 inches down from the inseam, straight across. So you're going to make a copy, and then after you make this adjustment, I'm just going to cut out the adjusted top of the pattern here. And just cut it out. And notice I'm following the dip I made in the middle of the leg. Okay, so what you do is you take your copy and you stick it underneath, so the inseam is matching, the side seam is matching, and the lower edge is matching. So this copy, you can see that the line for the inseam right there matches right there, and that matches. I'm going to tape this down. And basically what we're doing is we're putting back everything that we don't want adjusted here. Now, if you do not have a low behind, you're going to put back this area in here. But if you also happen to have a low behind, you could scoop that and start putting it back up here like this. But for now, I'm just going to put everything back. This all goes back. I'm just going to connect this up to here. And I'm going to connect this like this. And all of this goes back. Okay, so we're putting all of this back. What are we not putting back? This dip. So you'll notice I'm just going to cut the dip off. I'm going to cut this off from the original. All right, so what we removed here shows here, and when we go to sew it or pin it to a pants fitting waistband, this is going to force all of this fabric up, okay, when it's attached to the waistband. So you've shortened the leg here, you've lengthened the front leg, and I think you can see how, you know, lengthening this down to the knee, shortening this down to the knee is going to really help you if you see that you have a longer distance from your waist to your knee in the front and a shorter distance from your waist to your knee, or from under your behind to your knee. All right, so check those things out really carefully. If you're not sure if you need to lengthen the front, you can always do it, and then guess what? It's a very easy adjustment to trim it back off if you don't need it. Okay, so if you're not sure, but you suspect you might need more room over your tummy or high full hip, add it, and then if you don't need it, you can just trim it right back off. I think this is a really common fitting issue for pants fitting, so I'm really hoping this helps you. If you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you there. And I want to thank everybody for watching. If you're enjoying my content, consider liking and subscribing to my channel because it helps me grow. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching.